The stadium was silent for a moment, and then it happened. A thunderous crack of the glove echoed through Tokyo Dome like a gunshot, 155 kilometers per hour. The ball blazed through the air like a flash of white lightning, and the crowd gasped in disbelief. On that mound stood a man who was once forgotten, once broken, once told he'd never rise again. Luciano. The name that once echoed through MLB headlines is a teenage prodigy, a boy who reached the majors at just 19 years and 1 month. A story that began with fire, ended with silence, and now burns again in Japan. But to understand why this one inning meant so much, why that single, scoreless frame shook the hearts of thousands, you have to go back. Back to where it all started. When Luciano first stepped onto an MLB mound, he wasn't just a player, he was a prophecy. Scouts whispered about his velocity. His curve had the shape of a falling blade. His fastball, a storm no one could tame. At 19, he was supposed to be the one. But baseball, like life, has no mercy. Injuries tore through his young career like cruel wind through fire. His confidence shattered. His mechanics broke down. Every pitch became heavier, every step closer to the end. One moment he was a future star, the next, he was gone. No one talked about Luciano anymore. His name faded from broadcasts. His highlights stopped airing. He was another, what could have been. But legends aren't born from comfort. They rise from the ashes. Somewhere, deep in his heart, Luciano wasn't done. He couldn't be. Not after tasting the dream once. Not after hearing the roar of a major league crowd. So he made a decision that few could understand. He left it all behind, the spotlight, the pressure, the fame, and went east. To Japan, the land of discipline, the land of rebirth, the land where broken players often become warriors again. At first, no one noticed. Just another foreign player trying to find his place. But day after day, bullpen after bullpen, Luciano's fire began to return. The mechanics clicked. The arm strength came back. The fastball began to hum again. And then came this night. The lights of Tokyo Dome burned bright, reflecting off the sweat on his brow. The crowd chanted, not for him, not yet. But they watched. He took the ball, looked in for the sign, and exhaled. The first pitch, 153 kilometers per hour. Strike 1. The second, 154. Swing and miss. The third, 155. Frozen. 3 pitches. 1 strikeout. The dugout rose to its feet. His teammates clapped. The camera zoomed in on his face, no smile, no scream. Just a calm look, the kind only a man who's seen both heaven and hell can wear. Because this wasn't just a strikeout. It was a statement. I'm still here. Pitch by pitch, he carved through the inning. His control, his confidence, his rhythm, everything was in perfect sync. A slider bent across the corner like poetry. A fastball whistled past the bat like a bullet. A changeup that fell off the table, leaving the hitter shaking his head. 0 runs. 1 inning. But the meaning, infinite. As he walked off the mound, the crowd gave him an ovation that felt like redemption. This was no longer the 19-year-old boy who once dazzled the MLB. This was a man who had fought his way through darkness, across oceans, through failure and doubt, to stand here again, in command of his destiny. The coaches exchanged looks. The fans started murmuring his name. Reporters began to write it down again, Luciano. Not as a faded story, but as a living, breathing symbol of resilience. Because every sport, every generation, needs a story like this. A story of someone who fell, shattered, disappeared, only to come back stronger than ever. When he stepped into the dugout, his teammates tapped him on the shoulder. You could see it in their eyes, respect. Admiration. The ones who knew his journey felt the weight of that inning more than anyone. The scoreboard might have shown a simple 0. But in truth, it showed something greater. The number of limits he broke. The number of doubts he erased. He sat down, breathing heavy, staring out at the field. You could almost feel the thoughts running through his mind. Not about stats. Not about velocity. But about the boy he used to be, the one who once feared it was all over. And in that quiet moment, as the crowd roared behind him, maybe he smiled and sighed. Because sometimes, redemption doesn't come in headlines. It comes in silence. In one clean inning. In one perfect pitch. In one more chance. Luciano's story isn't over. It's just beginning again. The fire is back. The storm has returned. And as the echoes of his 155 kilometers per hour fastball fade into the Tokyo night, one truth remains clear. You can't silence a dream that refuses to die. Because no matter how far you fall, the heart of a pitcher always finds a way to rise.